The next hot take: women's football needs to lose the fans who follow players rather than the teams if it wants to progress to the next level.
I don't think the question is, should we lose fans who only follow players in women's football? I think the question is, why does the women's game produce so many of those type of fans in the first place? Because I think that's different and the answer changes everything. In the men's game, most fans are born into a club. Maybe your dad took you to a game, maybe your sibling did, maybe you were at home always watching a certain team. So you grew up supporting that team because everyone around you did that. You essentially didn't choose what club you were born into. However, in women's football, a massive chunk of the fans came through a tournament that they converted into. So, for example, the Euros or the World Cup. Essentially, you watched, you fell in love with the player, and then you maybe followed them to their club. That formation pattern is completely different than what you see in the men's game. Because in the women's game, for most people, it might be player first, then club, not the other way around. So I want us to reduce demonizing the fans that came into the women's game that way, because they are completely innocent in this. I think the real question we need to ask is what happens next. Because right now, when a player moves on or retires, the connection to that club that that fan has becomes so fragile. Let's imagine you came to Arsenal for Alessia Russo, and at some point in time she leaves. Do you stay as a fan or do you follow her to her next club? And I think that's where the conversion problem is currently in women's football fandom. It's got nothing to do with fan loyalty. The sport may have brought you in through a player, but no one has helped build the bridge from I love this player to this is my club that I support and ride or die for. So I'm not here to say that player first fans are villains in women's football fandom, or that they need to prove themselves, because that's not the take that I have for this, or that they need to prove themselves. That is definitely not my take here. I'm saying that the sport needs to figure out how to make that initial connection stick, because if you're telling fans that they're not real for how they got here in a game that's still growing, I don't know how you can make that assumption. This is a luxury that I think the women's game just doesn't have yet. And realizing in that same conversation that player loyalty and club loyalty are two different things is also super important. I would love to know though, how did you get into women's football? Were you someone that converted through a tournament like the Euros or the World Cup following a player? Or did you just support a team and that's all you've ever supported